Hey, so when I meet a new student for the first time in person, and I watch them just swing maybe 2 or 3 times, a lot of these golfers, I can tell, have zero chance at ever hitting the ball long off the tee. And so right after this, I'm going to reveal to you what I spot so quickly that might affect you as well, that's costing you 20, 30, even 40 yards off the tee before you even start. So if you want to know how to pick up those extra yards, then by all means stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. As you know, I'm on a journey to hit it longer and straighter off the tee, all the way to the green, because hitting it long and straight for 18 holes just makes golf so much fun. So if you agree, then please join us. Hit the subscribe button. Like this video if you got some benefit out of it, and if you have a question, leave it in the comments below. All right, so when I first watch someone swing in person for the first time, I'm looking for what kind of sense of athleticism do they show. I'm looking for maybe 1 or 2 of their most major flaws, so that during that first session we can get the most bang for the buck by pushing those 2 flaws forward a bit. So if they're swinging too steep, I try to get them to swing more rounded. If they're swinging outside in, I try to have them experience swinging from the inside out. Fairly simple stuff. But when it comes to generating club head speed and really knocking it out there as far as they would hope to, a lot of times it will come down to them having a very faulty grip. If we're going to hit it out there, we've got to make maximum use of this 180-degree snap of the wrists freely. And if you can't make that motion, either full range of motion, or if it takes you squeezing the hell out of the club in order to keep secure, then you're going to lose a lot of speed and therefore distance. So let's take a look at a couple key points that you should go back and review with your grip if you're not getting as much distance as you know you should. All right, the first thing I see a lot of people doing with their grip, I see them simply resting it down into the palm too much. So something like that. They're letting it run and then they're gripping it like that. So this does not have near the potential for snapping through that 180 degrees of motion. It just can't be snapped that quickly. And not only that, but it's not quite as secure either. It feels like it's got a little wiggle in there. So I'm going to have to squeeze it tighter in order to keep the club secure as I go through impact. Also, tension through the impact zone is going to slow us down. All right, another very common flaw I see in the left-hand grip that golfers show me is they don't have the thumb on the shaft. A lot of golfers I meet, they have their thumbs kind of hanging off the side. And so I asked them, you know, show me how you would hammer a nail. You cannot hammer a nail unless you have something to push with. So here I've got half the equation missing. I can pull with the heel of the hand to get a little bit of a downforce, but I'm not going to drive that nail in just a couple of hits unless I can get my thumb down the shaft, something like this. So here I've got the thumb at about 1 o'clock. This would be 12 o'clock, which I also see weak thumb, weak left-hand grip, a lot more slicing, a lot more backspin, less distance. I'm over here at 1 o'clock, so I tell them, hey, if you can't read the logo on your glove, then you're doing it wrong. We've got to get the thumb about 30 degrees around the clock, but notice I also have this thumb running down the shaft. So if I turned it 30 degrees, you'd see my thumb is straight down the shaft, so I can really bang that nail in. And that, of course, is the first part of the release back here, that in-plane torque that we're applying from the top of the swing, similar to a strike of a nail. And so if we don't have the thumb properly placed on the grip to hammer with, we're just not going to fulfill our potential for speed. Now, just one further note on the grip is I'm playing a little bit of a short thumb. You'll see I've got a little bit, I'll show you, there would be a long thumb like that. Okay, and I feel like I get more leverage and speed out of kind of scrunching up the thumb just a little bit like this. So I'm really pressuring the grip with particularly that pad right there. So I feel like I've got a little bit of a short crimped in thumb that's going to help me get the most push and acceleration coming down. All right, so now that you've arrived at a pretty good form to your grip, in the fingers, you've got your shorter thumb at 1 o'clock. I want to show you here, I've got what I call a vacuum seal around the fingers like this. I've got a vacuum seal where you couldn't get a toothpick in here anywhere because it's just so form-fitting around the grip like a glove. But see, now I don't have to squeeze very hard to keep control of the club in the follow-through. So now, not only can I do the full range of motion around the wrist, but I can also do it with the least amount of grip pressure, which means through the impact zone, I'll be picking up a bit more extra speed. All right, and one last thing when it comes to the grip that makes people lose a ton of distance is in the grip size. Now, I would estimate that probably 20 or 30% of men are using grips that are too big for them. And here's a good way you can tell. If you take your normal grip, like this, you'll notice here that my third and fourth finger are able to kind of tickle or touch my palm, and my pinky almost gets there too. Now this is a mid-size grip. It's like a standard grip with a couple wraps underneath. So it's like a mid-size. I've got pretty big hands. You can see for sure my fourth finger is able to come down and touch my palm. But if you cannot get either finger, third or fourth finger, to touch or at least come close, let's say you look more like this and you're a ½ inch off, well, that just means that your fingers are just not long enough for that grip, and you really got to go get resized for your grips. Go to maybe that 1/16 undersized grip so that your fingers can get on here properly. Otherwise, if you're only halfway around like this, again, you're going to have to apply a lot more squeezing pressure in the wrist and arm, and that squeezing is really going to slow down and constrict that natural pendulum arc that we're trying to whip the club through. All right, so now that I've got all the details of the grip accounted for, I've got it in the fingers, I've got my crimped thumb running at 1 o'clock, I've got the vacuum seal on this end, and I've got the right size grips for my hand to stay on here without squeezing. Let's see if I can hit a good drive out there and with some good distance, maybe over 300 yards on this one. Let's see. All right, so using a really outstanding left-hand grip, I was able to put a really perfect drive out there right down the middle and well over 300 yards. So that's going to play just fine on any golf course. And I would encourage you, again, to go back and review all these details in your left-hand grip, because that may just be sapping a ton of distance from you. I know it's boring and mundane, but these are the type of things that good golfers get a handle on, the fundamental things. All right, hey, thanks again for joining me. I'm Steve. Thanks to Golf Development Complex in Moorpark, California for hosting us today. Come out and hit a bucket of balls. Come see me for some live one-on-one instruction. And as always, hey, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.